we can. It is worth noting that when Dredge is flipping cards all the time, it can be difficult to know exactly what's going on as a commentator.
Yeah, Dredge is unlike any other deck in Magic in that what's important is not what the cards in the player's hand and the cards in play. It's the cards in the player's graveyard. So you'll often see Dredge players just line out their graveyard in a huge pile across the table, so they can pick out cards when they're getting them. So we have the beginning of this match. Chris Boozer is mulliganing. He's going to 6 cards. And I believe he is on the play. I don't know who had the choice in this game. I know that Mike Morrissey wants to draw. He wants to put his opponent on the play so he can just draw and discard.
Yep. And once again, it's really interesting. A lot of their decks have used cards like Tireless Tribe and Putrid Imp, but the thing about those cards, they cost 1 mana, so they can be Mental Misstep. And Michael Morrissey sidesteps that by doing the draw discard plan, while not totally, choosing to play with no lands like Nick Roush did. So it's kind of a best of both worlds kind of situation. And I can see how Mike has done so well. Chris Boozer's on the play, so Mike Morrissey is in fact on the draw here.
So there are still targets for Mental Misstep in Mike Morrissey's deck.
Course.
He has Careful Study, he has Breakthrough, which is usually played for 0, which will often be able to get Mental Misstep then, as well as Cabal Therapy, which can get countered whether it is played from hand or flashback.
Yeah, I know we feel like the Dredge deck is pretty favored here. There's 2 relics in the sideboard of the blue-white deck, and there's Meddling Mage, which is decent, but I mean, he's not even planning to Dread Return that much, so it's going to be rough. Alright, so here we go. Chris Boozer, land, pass. Mike Morrissey just discards the Grave Troll. Turn 2, there's the Dreaded Stoneforge Mystic, but it might not matter if Mike's got a good draw. He's just going to dredge this game Grave Troll and might go crazy.
Interestingly, Batterskull is one of the best possible cards against Dredge, because for multiple reasons. Yeah. Batterskull is a card that against the Zombie Swarm can give you both pressure and the life that you need to survive. And as a lifelink vigilance creature, it will protect you from all those zombies, no matter how many there are, really. And the more important aspect of it, or potentially more important aspect of it, some people don't even think about, is the fact that it has 3 Return Batterskull. When you return Batterskull, the germ dies, which removes all bridge from below from your opponent's graveyard.
Very relevant. So Mike dredges that Grave Troll, flips over a Narcomoeba.
And looks like he's discarding again. Or he is cycling Street Wraith.
You're going to cycle that Street Wraith. Do some more dredging. Returning Golgari Grave Troll. And flip 6 more cards. See a Golgari Thug, a Dread Return. He's going to make this as hard as possible for us.
It is very difficult for us to see what's going on over here.
But see a Golgari Thug in there. I think I see a Phantasmagorian. Let's see if he's going to play a land here. Well, he's got a bunch of dredgers in his hand.
Is he
Careful Study?
Debating. Is there a so how does this Phantasmagorian work? I saw that card being played earlier, and I was not quite sure what all the interactions that it involves.
So Phantasmagorian is a 7 mana guy, but mana cost is relevant. It says discard 3 cards from your hand to return it to your hand.
Okay.
And so it's the way of getting cards from your hand into your graveyard. Really
right.
Easily.
So can you use that at any time?
Anytime. It's just in your graveyard, yeah.
Okay.
So it's just a graveyard ability. Discard 3 cards, bring it back. It's also a 6/6 you can dread return if you don't have a Grave Troll available or something.
So is this a breakthrough? Is this a Careful Study?
I think it's not a Careful Study.
Is this a Mental Misstep? Looks like Chris Boozer has his. Oh no! It looks like it's resolving.
All right, dredge that Grave Troll. Things are about to go wild.
Troll.
Morrissey.
Ooh, 2 Narcomoebas. That is the
news.
magic number of Narcomoebas that is under play. 3 is enough to dredge return.
There's a bridge there.
There's at least 1 bridge.
There are 2 bridges now. I believe that's 2 bridges. The bridges are easier for us to see because it's got the weird future set.
Yeah, it does have the odd frame. We had the original tombstone from Odyssey Block to indicate when cards had graveyard effects, but that's kind of small and difficult to see, especially from here.
So I think there are 2 bridges there. And if I'm Mike Morrissey, one line of play is just flashback a Dread Return, if there's one there. I'm pretty sure there is. Flashback Dread Return, get 6 zombies, return a Grave Troll or something. It's a 10/10.
Yeah, so it looks like Chris Boozer is looking at the exact text on Bridge from Below.
Probably why enough tokens work.
One thing that is kind of annoying about playing Legacy is that there's actually a rule that you cannot reorder your graveyard, because there are cards in Legacy that care about the order of your graveyard. And especially when you're playing Dredge, and there's particular cards that matter, and most of your graveyard that doesn't. It's like, okay, you can't have the cards that matter sort of pulled out. All right, we see a Cabal Therapy, which generates 2 zombies targeting Chris, I believe.
Yep, targets Chris.
He named Batterskull, so we got rid of that Batterskull.
Sword,
so
force.
Chris Boozer's hand is down to Plow, and Force of Will. I believe there's. I'm just going to go ahead and guess. There's another therapy in Mike Morrissey's graveyard. Who knows if that's true? I actually just made that up.
And so if he doesn't do it, that's probably why.
Yeah, we'll wonder why. Be like, oh, he must have been an Icarid that looked like a Cabal Therapy or a Golgari Thug. Oh, it looks like
a time to Dread Return.
Dread Return on.
Sorry, flashback Dread Return, getting 4 more zombies.
And we're getting a
Golgari
Grave Troll. How big is he?
Pretty big. A weird thing about Golgari Grave Troll, when you Dread Return it, it counts itself, which is always very strange.
That is very strange.
So, just, if not that you could count his graveyard anyway, because we can't count his graveyards, therefore you guys definitely can't count his graveyard, but if you could, it would be one bigger than you might think otherwise.
So, Golgari Grave Troll, unlike many sort of Lorgorth type creatures, it actually sets its power and toughness when it enters the battlefield, as opposed to checking at all times.
Right. Because there's a bunch of plus 1 counters.
So we have a giant troll, and how big is it? Looks like we're counting.
It's big.
So I believe the answer is in fact officially big.
And if there's a therapy, I imagine Mike will likely therapy swords here, so that doesn't.
That's probably a good choice if he has a gigantic troll.
And gonna use a spin down dice. It'll be even harder for us to tell how big that troll is. We'll get word here in a second on how big the troll is, though.
So what Chris should do is play a Kavu Predator, Phantasmal Image it, and then plow that troll. So he will have about 40 points of trample in play for his next attack.
Oh, he just passes, letting his guy get.
I guess he does not have another Cabal Therapy.
It's a good thing Chris doesn't have Kavu
did
Predator.
in fact just make that up. Right, Source of Plowshares takes out the Golgari Grave Troll.
See, that's interesting. I'm not sure I would have flashback there if I knew my opponent was just going to had double swords. Although
you do get a bunch of zombies.
I mean, you get two. He has 2 zombies left, right? That's it.
No, he has 5. He flashback using 2 of his Narcomoebas, so he got
was a
multiple.
1919
that was a gigantic Grave Troll. It was 1919. So, but casting that.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
he had to get his Narcomoebas in the graveyard somehow.
I guess the other big thing is it forces him to use that instead of on an Icarid, and the Icarids are super key here because
Icarids are very big deal.
You can just keep using those to get more.
I can't tell if there are Icarids in the graveyard.
I'm pretty sure he's got at least one Icarid.
Odds are they're Icarids. I mean, I said that there was probably a. By odds are there's an Icarid. There's actually 3 Icarids.
An Icarid is
a
big deal. You can and if
is that a. Oh, okay. For a second, I thought that was 4th Icarid, but no, he's actually just removing
3 street wraiths.
3 street wraiths
to go along with his 3 Icarids. If Mike doesn't feel safe attacking here, he can just pass the turn and end up with plus 6 zombies.
Yeah. So Icarid, for those of you who don't know, is a 3/1 black creature with haste. So if it's in your graveyard, you can remove another black creature from your graveyard to return it to play during your upkeep, and then you sacrifice at the end of the turn. The way that Icarid interacts with Bridge from Below is that every turn your Icarids are going to die, and you're going to keep getting Bridge from Below tokens for each of your Icarids.
So another bridge for Mike there.
Jeez. So we have a gigantic pile of graveyard cards. And for those of you who have not seen Dredge before, see what I mean?
Yeah.
the cards in play are a bunch of tokens and a land, along with those Icarids. And there's this massive sprawl of cards in the graveyard spread out in the middle of the table.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's really every graveyard flip is like drawing 6 cards, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to draw these 6 cards and, keep the ones that matter. So Mike Morrissey is now cracking Cephalid Coliseum, which will dig him plenty deep into his deck and get all the cards he wants.
3 more dredges.
There's a Dredge return right there. Gonna count cards in his deck. Doesn't make sure he doesn't want to.
That is one of the funny things about Dredge is that you can very easily just deck yourself.
Well, especially against an opponent who has Standstill in their deck. You don't want to actually be like, Standstill, crack it, draw 3, you die. Definitely seen that one happen before. So he's gonna dredge another Troll, flip 6 more cards. City of Brass dealing a single point of damage to Mike Morrissey. Chris knows he's in bad shape here.
And even more.
And dredges again. I think he found his 4th bridge there. So, yeah. Rough shape for Chris Boozer. So now, if you're Mike, do you think you just serve with everything, or do you wait and get 12 zombies?
Do you need that many zombies?
I mean, it's pretty excessive. If you serve a block with the Stoneforge Mystic, all your bridges will go away.
Right. I believe there's Cabal Therapies. Yeah, I think you use the Cabal Therapy first.
Sure.
So Cabal Therapy, you're going to generate 4 zombies from casting the Cabal Therapy.
And get rid of some cards out of Chris's hand. And then just concedes.
Yeah, so the Army of the Dead, or at least the precursor to Army of the Dead, the Bridge from Below, takes the first game. Mike Morrissey leads 1-0 against Chris Boozer. So I'm Brian Kibler here with Gavin Muirhay. We are in the semifinals of the Legacy Open at the StarCityGames.com Open Series here in Atlanta, Georgia. We have just seen Game 1 of a Dredge deck played by Mike Morrissey against Chris Boozer's Stoneforge Mystic deck. Though Chris Boozer wasn't really playing much of a deck at all in that game. He didn't really have a chance to do much of anything.
So Turn 2 Mystic just didn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, Stoneforge Mystic is one of the cards that has really defined Magic for the past year or so. But even it does not stand up very well against a swarm of, I don't even know how many zombies that were in play by the 3rd turn.
Tons and tons of zombies.
So, usually the vulnerabilities of Dredge are in sideboarding, are after sideboarding, but before we get to that, we're gonna give away some Star City Games Premium.
That's right, 6 months of StarCityGames.com Premium given away here. Well, we gave away 3 months in the quarterfinals, 6 months now, and then a whole year in the finals. So stay tuned. Very simple. We're gonna ask a question, and then you're gonna respond on Twitter using the hashtag SCG Premium. If you answer the question correctly, you will be entered into a contest. Let's pick one of you at random to win 6 months of premium. Here's the question. Right now we're watching a matchup between Dredge and Blue White Stoneforge. Other half of the semifinal. What is the other half of the semifinal bracket? They're playing it out right now. What 2 decks are there? Tell us, and you could win 6 months of Star City Games Premium. Read articles by Brian Kibler and more. But really, you get Brian Kibler with a face like that. I mean.
The videos don't have my face in them though. It's me playing Magic Online.
Oh, you gotta get the face.
I've actually thought about
face cam in the corner,
shooting a video like sort of you can see my ridiculous expressions as I'm playing or something. but then I couldn't play like in my pajamas or whatever.
Just a face cam, it could work.
Well, then I couldn't play while wearing like a Mexican wrestler mask.
It's fair.
I use that. No, I actually don't. But
that actually you gotta get in the mood.
Gotta get. Hyped up for the competition of Magic Online 8-4s.
It's rough competition in there. You might face Brad Nelson.
You could. But anyway, so we do have a match that we're sitting here watching. So there's some interesting stuff.
I guess, yeah, there's a match.
I guess there's some people playing Magic. We're not really here for any particular reason. But yeah, so the weakness of Dredge and the reason that you don't see those that sort of deck just dominate every Legacy tournament is typically in sideboarding. So the cards that are troublesome for Dredge are obviously any decks that attack the graveyard. And Chris Boozer is actually noticeably lacking them. He only has 2 copies of Relic of Progenitus, which is one of the slower and weaker anti-Dredge cards that are available. So we may not see things really go that much differently after sideboarding.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see Relics. There's some other utility cards Chris can bring in. They're no by near means as effective, but there's Wrath, which is reasonable. If there's like a zombie army, Jite is kind of okay. Sometimes they'll probably not. Path Exile can keep cards like Icarid in check if that's their plan. And you can also Meddling Mage them potentially. So, and Spell Pierce is also a potential card. And there's a lot of cards in Chris's deck you can take out. Because when you're playing against Dredge, you're really playing against an entirely different deck.
Right.
And there's cards in here that are just never going to need. Like Sword of Feast and Famine, never going to want that. Crucible Worlds, never going to want that. So there's just numerous cards. Standstill, don't really want that one either.
Yeah.
So there's, and Jace the Mind Sculptor, also not very exciting. So there's tons of cards in here you can just take out.
Right. So what sort of cards do you think he wants in his deck? Looking at his sideboard, Meddling Mage seems like a card that has more value than all of the cards in his deck. Umezawa's Jitte is a card that can help kill bridges. At the very least, you could kill your own creatures if you need to. It can kill some bridge tokens, kill some Icarids when they're coming in. Relic of Progenitus is an obvious inclusion. Manriki Gusari, he's ready for the mirror.
I don't think we're doing that one. Chris Boozer starts off with a Flooded Strand, and we'll see what options he has. I know Chris was not feeling very optimistic about his chances in this matchup.
Did Chris choose to play?
Chris did choose to play.
I actually think that seems like it's a mistake to me. It seems like Mike Morrissey is always going to have to discard.
Yeah.
And
just give him a free card.
Right. You're basically if you choose to draw, you are just getting an extra card.
Yep.
You're every turn that they can't discard, you effectively are time walking them.
We're going to have to quiet down a little bit. It's getting people are filtering out, and even across the hall, our voices carry.
My voice carries. I don't believe you.
We're loud, and we are loud and obnoxious.
I am so quiet and gentle,
like a dragon, just like a dragon.
Yes.
So Chris Boozer does have the turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic. Whoa, what? Sword of Feast and Famine.
What?
What?
My brain just exploded.
All in caps. Like, is he just fooling around? I don't understand.
My brain really just exploded. What's happening?
Why would you hit Sword of Feast and Famine ever? Why is that still in his deck? I don't get it.
I don't know.
Wow, that's
interesting.
Maybe there's a strategy here I'm just not seeing, but it seems like you're just always going to hit dredgers.
You're playing against a deck that wants to discard, and they choose. They choose.
They choose discard, and untapping your lands doesn't seem that insane by any stretch of the imagination.
So it looks like discarding some dredgers to return that Phantasmagorian. That's how you pronounce it, right? Phantasmagorian?
Especially if you enunciate each syllable like that. You can also
Phantasmagorian.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can get some Misty on it, man.
Any number. Yeah. Misty Rainforest.
Misty Rainforest.
But,
alright, so it looks like Mike Morris is going to discard 3 cards to his Phantasmagorian.
It's getting late. You can tell. Phantasmagorian.
And discards
so it looks
Bridge,
like
Stinkweed Imp.
And Stinkweed Imp and Dread Return, okay, and he dredges the Stinkweed Imp, getting some action.
Still confused about that Feast and Famine, but we'll see how it plays out this game.
I have to assume that Chris Boozer has Batterskull in his hand. But it's still very confusing that Sword of Feast and Famine is in his deck. I mean, I guess it gives pro black, so it can allow something to attack through a zombie army. So I can see it having some sort of utility.
And he did have the Batterskull. So
right. Okay. So yeah, he names Batterskull, which makes a lot of sense because, well, why in the world would we get Sword of Feast and Famine otherwise?
Let's see. So let's see. It probably didn't sideboard too much then. Probably just brought in those relics. See Standstill still in his deck also.
But yeah, there definitely is some value to the ability to attack through all the tokens and guarantee that he's hitting the opponent for damage. And once his opponent gets a dredger or two in his graveyard, he's really not giving him more value by making him discard.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the discarding, it's just irrelevant. Like, I mean, it's not going to give him any value, but it's not going to do anything either.
Right. I mean, looking at the deck list, Chris Boozer doesn't have, at least in his main deck, he didn't have any other options for his equipment. He has the Umezawa's Jitte, which he might have brought in, but given that he went for sort of Feast and Famine immediately after his Batterskull, I think that seems relatively unlikely.
I mean, I guess Jitte is also a little worse if they don't have Putrid Imps and such.
Right, that's definitely true.
So,
but even just the ability to kill your own creatures is pretty relevant because you can take out the.
Chris going on the battle plan. Activates Mistress Factory, serves for 3. I don't think this is where you want to be if you're Chris Boozer. And then he wastelands his Mistress Factory, get rid of those bridges. You'd think that yeah, I guess.
It seems like you'd want to wait for another bridge.
Yeah,
there's only a single bridge there, right?
Seems pretty early, and also, I mean, just really hamstrings Chris. Like, how's he going to win?
Right. I mean, he has a Squire in play.
He has a Squire and a Tundra. I think in Chris's mind, he might think this is just a lost case, and you know, so we're gonna go out in style.
He's just gonna hope he doesn't hit any more dredgers, any more bridges. I mean, one of the most difficult things about playing against dredge is evaluating when it is appropriate to to start suiciding your creatures. You need to take care of those bridges, but you don't need to necessarily get rid of those bridges until they're representing a serious threat.
All right, flips a bunch more cards. I see an Icarid there. And there's a Gemstone Mine. Phantasmal Image, Phantasmagorians. Fanta is where you want to be in this tournament.
So you're saying this is a tournament of orange beverages?
I wasn't going to go there, but yeah. Fanta, I do in fact love the Fanta. There is another Tundra from Chris Boozer. And let's see, Stoneforge Mystic comes in for 1. Slowly pecking away at Mike Morrissey. And there's a Standstill in play, which Mike Morrissey, I'm sure, will probably be breaking. Well, wait, doesn't he have Icarids? I don't think this favors...
I don't know.
This doesn't seem to favor my Chris Boozer at all. Because the Icarids will, get zombie tokens and such under Standstill.
Yeah, Mike Morrissey can just sit here. And as long as he's not going to die to drawing from Standstill.
Turning into the best Landstill deck ever of Icarids. The Icarid Landstill deck. Icarid still Icarid. Stand Icarid.
Still Icarid? Stickerid.
Kind of like,
it's not bad.
Remember when the original decks came out on the scene with like Icarid and Psychotog and the Frigrid deck by John Rizzo?
So the Icarid eats a Phantasmagorian. It probably was pissed off because it couldn't pronounce the name. And we dredge a Stinkweed Imp.
Alright, Imp gets dredged. Flips over a Cabal Therapy. And 2 Glory Thugs.
So
Icarid crashes in and we're gonna get a couple zombie tokens here.
do we have 2 bridges again?
Well, a couple might have been a strong word. There's at least 1 bridge. I think there's just 1 bridge, so get a zombie token. Gabe Lockout says dredge go. Which is, to be fair, I guess, what the deck can do. I think we're going to see Flashback Cabal Therapy here. Break that Standstill. I don't know why... I mean, there's no real reason to break that Standstill, but... he'll break it anyway.
Interesting. I guess, it gives us information about his opponent's hand.
That it does. Alright, so Cabal Therapy, if it resolves, what do you think you name?
Swords to Plowshares? I don't know.
Yeah, Swords, probably.
Swords is one of the cards that does something.
Sword
Here's a sword. Okay, well, he knew that one at least.
And there are 2 swords in in Chris's hand. And those are really good against the Icarids that he's bringing back.
Mm-hmm.
Still a little surprised that Mike cracked that Standstill.
Yeah, that Standstill seemed to benefit him. I'm a little surprised that he decided to go ahead and let Chris Boozer Ancestral Recall.
But he did. And now he sees that Chris has 2 Swords to Plowshares. And he might flashback, if he has another Cabal Therapy, he might flashback and just take both of those. But he doesn't. Flashback and taking both Cabal Therapies is actually, or after taking both swords is actually wrong, I think. If you do it on your next turn, you could attack first, probably.
Yeah, he takes he made him discard the Sword of Feast of Famine,
which he knew he had.
Yeah, he knew he had the Sword of Feast of Famine, and it's also the only card that really lets him pressure him through the wall of zombies that he'll be creating. So an Icarid comes back, eating right. 2 Icarids come back, I believe.
Yep. 2 Icarids.
Eating some unfortunate Golgari thugs.
Yeah, they're thugs for a reason. And gonna
dredge the Stinkweed Imp.
Let's see, 2 Dark Amoebas, 3 Dark Amoebas. Only 2. One was a breakthrough. 2 Dark Amoebas.
So I think we're gonna see I think Chris Boozer actually, it's possible that he should just use his plows right now.
I would absolutely just plow those Icarus.
If he allows Mike Morrissey to go to his main phase, Mike can use the Cabal Therapy in his graveyard to sacrifice Icarid for the flashback cost, and Chris will be unable to cast Swords of Plowshares on it. If Chris plows it now, while we're still in Mike's upkeep or draw step, he won't have access to the therapy. But Chris passes and lets him therapy.
Oh man, getting rid of those Icarids is so crucial for Chris.
Yeah,
Boozer.
I think he really should have not allowed him to go to his main phase.
The thing about Dredge is not very many people playtest against it, and a lot of people just don't know all the intricacies.
It's definitely a very, very, very different type of Magic than playing against anything else.
There's a Brainstorm for Chris Boozer.
So he casts Swords of Plowshares, then he casts Brainstorm. I'm guessing
Probably hoping to hide
probably
cards
hiding
from
the
therapy.
other Swords of Plowshares.
Hide the other swords, potentially, yeah. Puts 2 cards back. Alright, looks like the Cabal Therapy is going to resolve. See what Mike Morrissey names.
Looks like Chris Boozer actually kept the second Swords of Plowshares in his hand. So it's pretty interesting because
The double juke.
Yeah, because he Mike Morrissey is likely to expect that he would have put the swords away. He would have hidden it, but now it's like, well, what do I name? This is one of those things that you really do have to sit there quietly because he does name the Swords of Plowshares and gets him.
Well done, Mike Morrissey. You passed the test, young grasshopper. Grab the fly out of my hand. And it looks like there's a Spell Snare, Mistress Factory.
Spell Snare? I guess it's a blue card. You can pitch it to 4 as well.
It is a blue card. You can pitch it to 4 as well.
Doesn't actually counter anything, does it?
Breakthrough for 1.
Breakthrough for 1. A hardcast Narcomoeba.
Hardcast Golgari Thug. Yeah.
So, welcome to Dredge. Dredge is a deck that really makes so many of your cards feel so useless.
It's such a strange deck. I remember when the mechanic first debuted and I was playing with it, it just felt so strange and foreign. Certainly, would you say it's the most broken mechanic of all time, or do you think that's Storm?
Storm, for sure.
I think Storm is inherently made to be broken.
I think Storm is just a broken mechanic in that it's just it almost does nothing but it's almost nothing but abusive. It's almost nothing but abusable. It is built to just be a broken combo mechanic. Whereas Dredge, like, you could imagine honest Dredge decks.
And there have been in the past, like the Segatog Dredge deck.
Right. You can imagine, decks that aren't just that are still playing the game of Magic. And that was clearly how it was intended. It was supposed to be decks that were using their graveyard as a resource in this interesting way, rather than their entire deck ending up in the graveyard every game.
Yeah, I mean, Storm is very obvious. You read it, it's like this is a combo, thing. I want to play a bunch of rituals and then go off.
I mean, I remember like what was it, Scarab, whatever shell Scarab.
Yeah, Graveshell Scarab.
Graveshell Scarab. A lot of people were like, ooh, it's a pretty valuable Dredge guy. It's something you can play and get draw a card each time you it's like, no, that's just not how that's not what Dredge works.
We were cube drafting the other day.
All that matters is the number of Dredge on it.
We were cube drafting the other day, and man, that card is worse without damage on the stack.
I can imagine.
We all berated the person for not taking it out of their cube.
So, looks like we are
attacking Mistress Factory, and Mike's just going to take the 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then passes back to Mike Morrissey. I think. Oh no, goes for the second Stoneforge Mystic.
So Stoneforge fetching, does he? Oh, he does not have the Jete in his deck. So I think I would want Jete. It's certainly better than a Spell Snare.
Yeah, I mean, I recognize that, Chris May just didn't know what to do here.
Yeah.
If only there were Tricket Mages to go find that relic.
Yeah, I mean, Dredge is definitely a very difficult deck to play against if you're not familiar with what's going on. And to be fair, I'm not certain if these players have each other's deck lists. I know that in some Open Series events, the players have access to each other's deck lists as of the quarterfinals.
They do have each other's deck lists.
Okay. So I mean, it seems like Chris would know that his opponent doesn't have anything that he can actually Spell Snare. So we see. Is this a Phantasmagorian going on again? I see a bunch of dredge cards in Mike's hand.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I can't really make out everything that's in Mike Morrissey's graveyard right now,
but I know there's a lot of it.
there's a lot of it, and it seems a lot in his favor. Let's see, Narcomoeba, Icarid. All right. Oh, Mike's still thinking. So I want to make sure he doesn't just run into something here and lose bridges that are important or otherwise.
So his Narcomoebas do fly, so they can go right over the top of those Stoneforge Mystics.
Right, the Narcomoebas are for sure coming in.
Is it Icarid attacking?
Icarid comes in, it'll likely trade with the Mystic, and the bridge will go away. There's one bridge, right? Yeah.
I believe there's currently one bridge in the graveyard. So
All right, and then Icarid.
So yeah, Icarid's just gonna die.
Before it struggles.
Get a zombie. I wish we had actual zombie tokens representing these zombies, so I had any idea how. It's actually like a 20-sided die. I have no clue what number it's on.
You know, I bet we have zombie tokens.
We probably do somewhere.
We just sent the judge on a mission to get zombie tokens. So watching that dice will mysteriously turn into actual tokens shortly.
Yeah.
And taps Tundra. And there's a relic. And he cracks away Mike Morrissey's graveyard.
So that was a big draw. So relic removes the. So there's only 3 tokens. So that is a 20-sided die representing a very small number of creatures. So this game that relic had a major impact here. We have zombies. There we go.
Yay, zombies. All right, so we have 3 zombies in play. Now Mikey's just start discarding again with that relic used.
So he has to. Looks like he has 6 cards in his hand.
I believe it's 6 cards.
Is he on the draw up to 8 discard plan still?
Well, he has no careful study or breakthrough in his hand that I can see, and he has no cabal therapy to target himself.
He does have Narcomoebas, however. Well, I don't know if I attack with those zombies. Those zombies are just going to run into
Mishra's Factory, right? Yeah, Mishra's Factory can tap pump itself even. So. Oh, wait. What's
Is this an Ancient Grudge on Mishra's Factory?
That'd be insane.
Is this happening?
Yeah, he has it right there.
Oh,
Bang. Grudge.
We have found a use for Spell Snare. We have found a use for Spell Snare. So Spell Snare counters the Ancient Grudge on Mishra's Factory.
The use for Spell Snare. Found the use for Ancient Grudge. All right. And so 2 Mystics eats a zombie token, and Mishra's Factory eats another zombie token.
So we have lost 2 tokens.
Chris Boozer will drop to 8, I believe.
Yes, he drops to 8 life on a 4-turn clock from those Narcomoebas.
And he still has the Ancient Grudge in the graveyard if he wants to flash it back on Mishra's Factory again.
Those gemstone mines are not long for this world, however. And that did relic. So
He's
we are
the only card he scrabbles away.
So the relic deals with the Ancient Grudge flashback. And threatens to shut down the rest of his dredging. So
all right, time to start hard casting.
we're really on the Narcomoeba slash. I mean, if he draws another land, he can cast a Stinkweed. That flies too.
I mean, and the problem is his 2 lands are gemstone mines.
Yeah, and they're gonna. I think they're both on one.
One of them is
2 counters. I think I see 2 counters on the one, and the other's on 1 counter.
All right, Chris Boozer also getting in the spirit attacks with Stoneforge Mystic and Mishra's Factory.
So I mean, I mentioned earlier that I thought Jitte was a card that Chris Boozer would have really wanted to have in his deck, and here, if he has Jitte, he's not going to lose this race, and he's actually in danger of losing to this pair of Narcomoebas.
And yeah, Chris Boozer down to 6 life.
Down to 6 life.
If Mike deploys that second,
That's a meddling
he has
mage.
it in his hand. Does he have a third Narcomoeba, or are we just making that up?
No, he has Stinkweed Imps. He doesn't have
He does not have
Narcomoeba.
Narcomoeba. All right, so 3 turns. And Mike looks through Chris Boozer's exiled pile, seeing what Chris has used so far this game. And it looks like he's just going to pass the turn back.
Sends a factory.
All right, serves with the factory for 2. He did not attack with Stoneforge Mystic.
There's a zombie token there. Stoneforge would just get killed.
Yep.
As tough as Stoneforge Mystic is, she's not much without her weapons.
And Mishra's Factory pumps the other Mishra's Factory, the attacking one.
Meddling Mage, naming...
Stinkweed.
Don't really know what was named here, but I don't think that the Meddling Mage is really going to be what decides this game. What decides this game is whether Chris Boozer can deal with these Narcomoebas that are beating him down.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think I might still name Stinkweed up there, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think that's totally reasonable. I name Breakthrough,
okay.
which is also reasonable, although he does have the relic still in play to deal with most any graveyard shenanigans.
Yeah, although I guess when Mike fills up his graveyard wide, he'll be forced to crack the relic, and then maybe he can come back. But I don't think the game will last that long.
Yeah, the game's going to end within the next few turns, one way or the other.
One way or another.
So, Chris Boozer actually has a non-trivial number of creatures he can attack with now. Mike Morrissey only at 10 life. So Chris is at 4. So Mike actually is in danger of dying himself. So both factories.
Yeah, both factories up.
Mike Morrissey actually is going to lose this race if he, well, maybe not.
He didn't send that Mystic.
The Mystic, I think that Mystic had to attack.
All right, so now
because
zombie.
he needs to deal 5 damage.
So now zombie blocks Mishra's Factory, probably.
Zombie blocks. I mean, Mishra's Factory, or I think I would want to block Meddling Mage because Mishra's Factory requires mana to activate the next turn. So it reduces the number of possible cards.
I'm surprised they didn't attack about Mystic.
Yeah, that if these life totals are correct, that seems like a pretty major mistake because Chris Boozer would get Mike Morrissey down to 5 life, and that would be able to kill him on the next turn.
Alright, passes back, draws a bridge from below.
So it looks like all this would work correct. Mike Morrissey's at 6, so he can attack with those 2 Narcomoebas, bring Chris Boozer to 2 life, and he will not die on the attack back because Chris Boozer only has 5 points of damage.
Alright, so he's gonna crack the relic just to dig it for a card. So the lamest use of the relic ever against
it's like a mental misstep.
Not using that.
That's not gonna do anything.
All right, it's all on top of the deck.
So Chris Boozer has 1 draw step.
Scratch my Tasmagorian. Is it a sword?
And it's a force of will.
And
he is dead.
Narcomoeba beatdown
so,
does it.
Wow. So Narcomoebas take it down.
Yeah.
So Mike Morrissey beats Chris Boozer 2 games to 0. We saw the deck basically go off and make